Oh, no way! Look at that! How cool! Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rennch. On today's show, we are going to work on my drive-by-wire setup, as well as plumbing for my coolant and fuel lines. So what's happening? I hope you guys are having a great day. If you are brand new to this channel, this is episode, I want to say 49. God, we're almost to 50 episodes of me taking this 1969 911 race car and converting it back into a street car and doing a bunch of really cool things like putting a twin-turbo Subaru EZ30R flat 6 in it. A little housekeeping. I just have to say thank you guys so much. I, last episode, implemented a new kind of like, here's how you help the show situation, and that is at rennch.com/high5. And basically what happens is if you go to that channel and you there's like 4 or 5 different spots that you can help the show. There's a Patreon, but really there's an Amazon wish list, and that is the thing that has been really awesome. It's been Christmas here this week. It's been really cool. You guys are super generous, and I just want to say thank you. As I get further into the build, some of these shows won't always be one single topic. I've got a whole bunch of stuff I have to check off the list, and sometimes I'm waiting for parts, or sometimes the timing just isn't right. But to be able to get this engine to fire, which is the thing I'm most interested in doing right now, I need to plumb it. So I need to run coolant lines from the front to the back, as well as fuel lines from the front to the back. And for my own shits and or giggles, I want to get my drive-by-wire pedal to work. Since I'm a little intimidated by this entire wiring loom, I think that's only 6 wires, and I can probably handle that. I've got a cool little plug to plug it into. I'll go over all that stuff. Let's move over to the bar/bench. So I've got a few things to show you here on the workbench and 2 or 3 items that I want to get done today. Before I get into any of it, I wanted to say thank you to you guys because you recommended that I check out the Chrysler Town & Country motor for my automated quarter windows. And dude, these things literally look like they were made for a Porsche. So I'm super excited to try to retrofit those on what I just did last week. So thank you for that. And I may actually, based on how these things are shaped, may be able to create a bracket where I don't actually have to weld or modify anything on the car, and these will bolt right up. We will soon find out. So a couple things I want to do today is I have my CSF radiators, which are those amazing radiators that I highlighted a few episodes ago. They have -16 fittings, so I have to get the coolant lines from the front of the car to the back of the car to where the motor is. I also have my fuel-safe fuel tank and at some point a high-pressure fuel pump because I'll be running E85 methanol from also the front of the car to the back of the car. So I'm going through the tunnel to do that. Now, before you're like, oh my God, it's the worst idea. You're going to be mixing the two. It's going to be too hot. Trust me that I've done hours and hours and hours of research and talked to probably maybe the highest experts in the game if you count Formula One as experts. So I feel like we have the heat issue mitigated, and I'm actually going to triple up on what I'm going to do. So I think that's good. If it doesn't work, what I'm doing is totally modular, and it's actually the reason I'm doing what I'm doing today. Totally modular, and I can reroute if I need to, but don't worry. I have definitely thought of the heat soak issue. Anyway, I've got to go from -16. These are the bad boys that are in the CSF drag radiators, and I've got to bring it through the tunnel to the back of the car. So what I've done is I bought 4 firewall -16 fittings, and basically these things go into a metal plate of some sort, and you run the hose from here to here, and that connects it to the metal plate. Then there's another hose on the inside of the tunnel from this side to this side, like this, and then this will connect to a like a hose end where I'll be able to put on a conventional coolant hose and connect it to the engine itself. Same drill for the fuel. So I've got, I want to say -8 and -6. One of those is the return, one of those is the high pressure line, but that's basically the gist. So I've basically got 2 holes. I've got one in front of the tunnel right behind the steering rack and just a little bit of space back there. And then the back of it is that whole thing that I just built, that entire rear bulkhead. I've got the back of the tunnel, which is kind of large. And I thought, all right, let me do like 1/8" thick aluminum so I can make these cool aluminum plates, and I will mount these mounts to those plates and then bolt the plates in place. So everything I'm doing is totally modular. So I was wondering where to get 1/8" aluminum plates. Of course, it's Amazon. Next day they were here. So these are, I want to say like 6 inches by 12 inches by 1/8. I got 2 of them, one for the front, one for the back. For the front, I probably can actually just cut a little bit off of here. That's all I really need to do. And what I'm thinking I'm going to do is kind of look where I am up there, see what kind of space I have, and then I think I'm going to try to weld 4 bolts on the car so that I can just put nuts on the outside and put them in, because I'm not going to have a whole lot of space up there to like get a ratchet and all that stuff in there because it's pretty tight. So we'll see if that works. The other thing I want to do today is I want to attempt to see if I can get this drive-by-wire pedal to activate my throttle body. So that'll be kind of my first little baby steps into wiring up this Haltech. Now, if you guys don't know what a drive-by-wire setup is, chances are if you have a car that's like newer than 2005 or 6, you don't actually have a cable that connects your pedal to your engine. You probably have a drive-by-wire setup like this one. This is 6 wires. They connect to the throttle body. It tells the throttle body how open to be. And I'm gonna see if I can use my Haltech to wire that up. So I went to the junkyard, I got this pedal. It is a 2009 Subaru Impreza. It's not the one I really wanted. A bunch of people were telling me to get the BRZ, but I was impatient. I wanted to just try this on this video. I can always change it if I want to. But it's got the pigtail. I cut the pigtail off so I can actually use it. And I can use one of your awesome Amazon gifts, you guys. This is from Mark. I don't know your last name, Mark, because it didn't say on the thing. But this is a Deutsch connector kit. Oh, there's Bondo on the bottom of it. But this is a Deutsch connector kit. These are modern ways to connect wires. So I will use this connector kit to wire a plug to this little pigtail. Then I have all my wires from the Haltech that need to run forward and to this. And I can plug the other end to that. I've got my Haltech wiring harness here. And then I have to connect on the Haltech side the throttle body, so I can do basically the same thing on the other end. So it's not going to be like in its permanent resting home, but hopefully I can get the thing to function and it'll work really cool. One little quick update while I'm doing this. Look how smooth that is. This thing's all done and beautiful now. Anyway, here's what I'm looking at. You can see that this thing has really been hacked up front. It is not the best metalworking ever, but what I think I'm going to do is try to cut this hole out a little more and give myself as much real estate as I can. Then I'm actually going to weld some bolts on the other side. Okay, after cutting the hole, this is the piece I ended up with. And what I want to do here is I think I'm just going to put 2 bolts through. So let me do that now, and I'll get back to you guys in a sec. All right, so that is it from the tunnel side. I'm probably going to end up making a little piece here that just sort of connects, you know, it doesn't leave this big air gap that's there. Okay, so here's the underside. This is the steering rack. And they each are 10mm bolts. And they should come right off if all goes well. So that's off. And you see this is welded on this side. The other one's welded on the other side. Okay there, doodlies. I think this is my layout. I'll have coolant that goes out that way, and then fuel basically is going to come in straight from the fuel pump. Will be sort of like here-ish, right? And it'll curve around and drop in straight, curve around and drop in straight. All right, I am really interested in getting this correct, so I got my calipers out. I'm going to try to measure this thing out a little bit and make sure that it's right. I need to make sure that I drill just the right size hole. So that's what the calipers are for. It's like I want to go big enough, but not too big. So it looks like the right size is just a teeny bit bigger than my, or smaller than my step drill going all the way through. Okay, so this is outside. I want this to go this way. Now for this plate, I can get it anodized or powder coated or whatever I decide to do. And there we are. Not gonna lie, this thing looks pretty badass. All right, so you can see this side of it. I'm gonna have to clearance that thing a little bit. I'm not even sure what that is. That fresh air vent or something, whatever that is right there, I'm gonna have to clearance it a little bit. So cut it out, grind it down a little to give that thing a little more room. And here's the underside. You can see how tight it is in here. That's why I just needed all of this room to make these bends. These are gonna probably bend down a little bit and then they will cruise up and then up through the wheel wells. And then these fuels will actually go straight up and over here because the fuel pump is probably gonna be mounted like right here on the inside of this, or it might be on the other side, I'm not sure. What's happening, fellas? It is the next day and I'm gonna keep working on this thing. Time to work on the rear plate, which I have to do after I put the engine in the car. I need to see how much space I have from the transmission and basically work all of my different pipes and fittings and things around the nose of the trans. Also done a quick little mock-up by putting my pedals in the car. And, you know, I saw this great post on one of the Porsche swapped Facebook boards. I think Jeff Kuhn is the gentleman's name. And he makes this great little adapter plate that fits onto the floorboard under here. And I didn't even think of that. I was thinking I was going to have to build some sort of welded metal thing off of the car itself. It makes way more sense just to mount this. It's really light. Mount this right to the pedal board. And so I'm going to try to make some kind of bracket for that. So this is an example of why you have to continually test fit things and dry fit things, and really what an example of how car customization is a moving target at all times. So now that I've gotten the engine and transmission pretty much bolted in so I can get this back plate mounted, I've realized I got a little bit of a clearance issue. This transmission is butting right up against this new panel that I welded. So I'm going to have to clearance it a little bit. There's plenty of extra meat on the nose of this transmission. So I'm probably gonna cut off like, I don't know, a ½ inch, maybe a ¼ inch or something. Predictably, that took a million years longer than I thought it would, but welcome to everything else on this build. I'm gonna keep the orientation basically the same as it is in the front. Again, these will be insulated, etc., etc. I'll probably round these corners off to match the fit of the car itself. Okay, so this part's pretty exciting for me. It's the thing I've been looking forward to the whole weekend, and that is really my first foray into wiring the Haltech 2500 up. Not permanently, because this is kind of, let me just see if I can make this thing work. But let me tell you what I have in front of me here. I have, I'll give you procedurally what I'm gonna do. First, I'm going to figure out what the wiring diagram is for my pigtail on my pedal. I have 6 wires coming out of here. I gotta figure out what they do. I then have 6 wires going into the throttle body, and I have to figure out how to trace those wires to those wires. So that's that. Then I have to figure out how to wire in the Haltech ECU on each end. Now Haltech, because I have the premium harness, has already pre-bundled a number of wires, but I really don't have any idea what I'm doing. Now, as you may be able to tell by the scruff on my face, it has been a few days since I started this video. And the problem was, I couldn't for the life of me find the pinouts for this pedal that I got. I thought it was gonna be easy. I'd be able to jump online, find a wiring diagram, figure out what these things all did, and wire the thing up. That has not been the case. I started the video on Saturday. It's now Wednesday. I've poured over a zillion hours of trying to find wiring diagrams for this particular pedal. I've started online arguments in ECU forums. It's been a whole thing. I think I got it now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to soft wire. I'm literally going to twist these wires together along with the wires on the throttle body and see if I can get it to work. Now, I have learned a tremendous amount about drive-by-wire setups that I didn't know before. First being, this is redundant. There is 2 powers, 2 grounds, and 2 signals out of these 6 wires. So really I just have to find what each 3 thing does, but they're different every single year. Same idea for the throttle body, and obviously that is for if something fails, you want a little redundancy when it comes to your throttle. You don't want it to fail and all of a sudden either your car goes shooting through a 7-Eleven or it doesn't work anymore. So I think I have it now. I've talked to a number of people that do this. I've talked to Haltech. I've, again, talked to a million people online on Facebook, and finally this one dude, Martin. Thank you, Martin, for your help today. I'm going to twist these wires together. First, I need to weave my way through the Haltech harness, figure out which wires go where, and then figure out how I'm going to power and ground each one. So basically what you want to do is you want to run one 5-volt power to the front of the car, to the pedal, and you want to split it. And you want to run one signal ground to the front of the car, to the pedal, and you split it, and then you send each signal wire to where they're supposed to go, and then basically the same idea on the throttle body. I think I've got it. I will explain more in a second once I connect everything. Most of this is just me learning the process. And what I've learned about this ECU, and maybe it's all ECUs, I don't know, but they come with a bundle of 5-volt power, which is what you need to power a lot of sensors. 12 volts is too much. And they come with a bunch of sensor grounds, which aren't like grounding to the chassis. That's something that gets grounded in the ECU. And as far as I can tell, the ECU doesn't care which 5-volt power and which sensor ground you use. It cares a lot about which wires are being used as the sensors. And again, I'm making an assumption here. I could be totally wrong, but I think I'm going to be okay. It seems right based on how I wired it. Like, you know, a ground felt like a ground. The main wire is shielded. It's the only wire on here that's shielded, so that lined up with the wiring diagram that people were talking about. So I feel pretty good about it. I've got to reboot my computer, connect the battery, and get the Haltech software fired up. I've got the ECU on, I've got the car on, I've got it connected to the computer, and I don't know what to do now. Man, do I not know how to do this. All right, there's a calibrate function here. First of all, I don't even know if it's gonna work. Okay, I've got it like mounted under my chair here, so I could do it at the same time. So if I push it, something will happen. We think? Oh, no way! Look at that! How cool! Yay! Cool! Awesome! Yeah, it works. Man, I just spent like. There's a guy from the Haltech tuning group on Facebook that just spent, an hour and a half with me, helping me out. And so what had to happen, basically, I'll try to explain this if you guys don't know much about this world. The ECU is a separate brain for your computer, right? It comes with a default software on it that works for like any engine. And then you can get base maps. You can get software that basically knows what engine you have and changes all the appropriate settings for that engine. Well, I kept loading the base map into my Haltech, and then every time I would restart the software, it was back to the default again. So I didn't know why that happened. And that was because I didn't even know, but the base map, once you load it into the software, it actually has to be loaded into the ECU, which I didn't even consider. So I did that. And then once that was there, we went over the wiring a couple times and then did there's a calibration where you have to push the pedal down 100% and it knows what the range is. And then it does an automatic calibration with your throttle body as well. And then it works. So let me show you guys and we'll talk a little bit about why that's so cool. This is my high-tech setup. There's the throttle body. So the wiring goes up from the pedal, goes up into the ECU, and then connects to this throttle body. And I step on the pedal, and how cool is that? Awesome, 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 awesome. So the reason why this is such a big deal, and I know I probably mentioned it before in this video, but it's been 5 days, I don't know what I said. With drive-by-wire, you get cruise control, traction control, anti-lag, you get idle control, you get sequential turbo craziness. Like you can do so much with having a drive-by-wire system versus a cable throttle. So it's a huge deal. And what Martin, my buddy, who just helped me with this, what he said is, once you get over this hump, the rest is easier. It's basically just, a sensor ground and a power to everything you need to power, and that's that. So that was awesome. Honestly, that was a huge help that he just gave me, and you get by with a little help from your friends. This was a interesting episode full of fabrication and now a bunch of wiring. I would love for you guys to tell me how much of this kind of thing, like how much of the wiring and the thought process would you like to hear about? Because sometimes this was 20 minutes of filming and probably 20 hours of research to do this thing that I just did now. So I'm curious, like, how interested are you guys in, how the sausage is made in this respect? Anyway, thank you guys once again for all of your generosity on the Amazon and the Patreon and the PayPal and all the things. If you guys want to contribute to the channel, if you're fans of what we're doing over here, and by we, I mean me and Ben, the dog, you just have to go to Rennch.com/high5. Rennch.com/high5 will take you to a page where you can have a myriad of options of how you may help the show, ranging from free to not so free. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.